Great. Thank you so much, Nicole. Today's meeting, all about the growing importance of AI in B2B sales and marketing. We're going to do a presentation of about 20 minutes or so, first by Shimona Chada, which I'll introduce in a second. And then we're going to have a very spirited panel discussion. You'll be more than welcome to weigh in on the chat with questions for our panel. So before we get it to Shimona, I'd like to introduce her. She is a marketing and a business strategy professional with over 20 years of experience. She's passionate about nurturing client relationships, enhancing customer experience, driving tangible business outcomes, and enhancing representation of women in leadership roles. Shimona leads marketing for retail, consumer packaged goods, telecom, media, entertainment, gaming, life sciences, and healthcare, and PS verticals for HCL, an $8.5 billion technology company. She is a gold medalist microbiologist, holds an MBA degree in marketing and finance from Symbiosis University, and has attended executive leadership programs at Yale School of Management and Tuck School of Business. She's also a recipient of the Stevie Awards for Women in Business 2017. So Shimona, it's all yours.
Thank you, Kyle. Okay, do you see my slides?
Yes.
Up there?
All good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity. And without much ado, we'll straight away get into the topic for today. How do you humanize your marketing and your customer interactions with the help of artificial intelligence? We do all know that computing today is undergoing a massive evolution and establishing a new normal. It is fundamentally altering the way we interact with technology. We all are aware of the mobile-first evolution which happened, and mobile-first brought in multi-touch. We evolved beyond keyboards and mouse. Today, AI is ushering a new era of evolution, which has been brought in by vision and voice. And this is also changing the way customers are engaging with technology. Today, customers are engaging with technology and brands in a more natural and more immersive manner, all thanks to artificial intelligence. If we take a step back some 10 years back, and we do realize that marketers would primarily focus on just 2 time slots to reach out to their customers. One was the morning commute time, and the second was the dinner time in the night when the entire family was together in front of the TV. This drastically changed the way the moment the mobile revolution stepped in, and we started talking about the hyper-connected consumer who was looking and expecting brands to interact with him or her anywhere, anytime, any device. Conversation moves towards being more personalized, targeted, and contextualized in the era of the hyper-connected consumer. Today with AI, we are witnessing a new revolution where customers are looking at brands to communicate with them in their moments of maximum opportunity. And this is all being enabled by artificial intelligence. If we look at speech, text analytics, machine learning, they're all able to create for us and interpret the consumers in moment sentiment or a lapse sentiment. Artificial intelligence is also enabling a new level of engagement which can happen. We have artificial conversational assistants which are available today, which can lead to very immersive and engaging conversations with our customers, which is also emotionally intelligent. So there's a huge shift which is happening. We see a lot of it happen in the B2B space. And I will give you some examples as we move forward as to how we can leverage these technologies. So what is it that AI-powered marketing technology does for us? This technology is able to integrate the systems of insights and the systems of interactions together, and is able to ensure that we are able to have some very intelligent, immersive, contextualized, and hyper-personalized conversations with our customers. So what's happening in terms of the adoption of artificial intelligence? Everybody is talking about it, but are people really embracing it? As of now, only about 25% of the marketers are looking at adopting some sort of AI technology in the near future. So balance, everybody is just trying to figure out how to start experimenting with artificial intelligence and how to integrate into its existing marketing tech stack. While these are the figures which exist today, we also have examples of a lot of early adopters of artificial intelligence in marketing and how they've been very successful. We all are aware of Netflix, and in fact, about 75% of the Netflix viewers would actually see a recommended, would see a recommended feature by Netflix. So such is the evolution of the recommendation engine of Netflix. In the year 2013, Netflix announced that it had about 33 million versions of Netflix. It actually had 33 million subscribers. So that is the level of personalization. That is the level of really understanding the customer behavior, the customer journey, the customer interactions, and then delivering a product which is suited and in alignment with what the customer is looking for. So let's now look at how in a B2B space, which is much closer to us, are the sales and marketing professionals leveraging artificial intelligence or can leverage AI technologies. So as we start, the first is the basics of marketing is you start with understanding your market, segmenting your market, and gather some market intelligence. Today, there are a lot of ABM platforms which are leveraging artificial intelligence to be able to segment the market for us, to be able to provide better insight into the intent of our customer and be able to present to us a segment of customers who are right now in the market looking for a particular type of service offering. To programmatic buying, which will actually help us leverage and optimize our media spend to be able to send targeted messages and targeted promotions to that set of customers. Today, with the advent of AI, we are seeing marketers getting more and more involved in terms of attribution, being able to map the entire customer journey and be able to clearly identify which are those marketing mix elements which are yielding better returns for them. This in turn is helping a lot of marketers optimize their media mix. Let's look at lead generation, for example. Today, AI is enabling not just lead scoring, it is also enabling a lot of engagement with the leads in terms of AI conversational assistants. The sales team are more and more relying on virtual assistants to be able to manage the bottom of the funnel, the top of the funnel opportunities. And once those opportunities are a bit more mature and there is a clearly identified need that they have, do these leads then get passed on to the sales team? So there's a lot of interface which is happening as far as AI technologies and the sales and marketing teams are concerned. Even if we look at content today, if we look at Forbes is actually leveraging Wordsmith to be able to create more clickable content. So when you look at content optimization, being able to understand what sort of a segment is going to consume what type of content and be able to dynamically produce a type of content and push it to the audience is something which is getting enabled by AI. We have seen a lot of use cases of artificial intelligence in industries like retail, where it's a slightly more matured set of adoption in terms of dynamic prices, in terms of recommendation engine, recommending the next best action, the next best purchase, etc. Today, I think it's almost every website that you go to, you will see a chat bot. You will encounter a lot of mails which are coming into your mailbox are being written by AI-assisted virtual assistants. So this is a reality today. A lot of people are embracing it. They're embracing it in bits and pieces, but we do have a revolution waiting to happen. So this chart here just gives a view of at every stage of the customer life cycle, AI technologies have a role to play, and we as marketers need to ensure that we are embracing artificial intelligence, integrating it into our marketing tech stack, integrating it into the way we do business and we operate our marketing function. So what are the pitfalls of artificial intelligence? If there's so much that AI can do and there's such a lot of ROI value of artificial intelligence in marketing, why is it that only 25% of companies are today looking at adopting AI in the near term? So there are a couple of reasons. The very first reason is that all of us, including maybe the people who are on the panel today, we are still figuring out artificial intelligence. We are trying to understand what is it, what it can realistically deliver, and just, just trying to segment the hype out of the reality. A lot of these AI platforms are also scattered, and this gets further enhanced when we look at our MarTech platforms. A lot of them which are made out of patchworks, which are not fully integrated, where data flow does not happen very seamlessly, right? And then there is this enhanced concerns about enterprise security. So all of that are definitely possibly acting as inhibitors for marketers to be embracing artificial intelligence. Also, I think once we decide that we want to have artificial intelligence embedded into the way we do marketing and we reach out to our customers, there is this fine line which needs to be maintained between personalization and intrusion. Most of you would have heard about that example when a father comes to know that his daughter is pregnant because suddenly she starts receiving a lot of offers of prenatal care products, etc. So how do you draw this thin line as to when are you being intrusive and when are you being personalized? And in fact, I remember there was this presentation which was being made to us where, every email conversation which goes to a B2B audience can actually be personalized with his or her photographs, etc. And I was like, seriously, I'm not very sure that every bit of email that I receive, I want my photograph to be embedded into every image that is getting created. Every masthead which comes to me in the form of email, I would want my photograph to be there. So how do you draw that? How do you navigate that fine line between these two? A lot of these algorithms are still nascent. They're still evolving. They're going to mature as time passes by, but still there is fear of what happens if there is out of control automation, which causes some customer interaction to go in a manner that we might not have really wanted it to. And then in a lot of our teams, and some of you who are on this call, on this webinar, who have tried to integrate artificial intelligence into your existing marketing organization, the current team members are very wary. There is a fear of redundancy. There is that initial fear of, there's an initial reaction of rejection that, this is something that I've been doing for the past 20 years. I've been doing it for the past 10 years or 5 years. Seriously, can a machine take this over? Can it do as good as the job as what I was doing? So there are these types of concerns within the team members in marketing. So how do marketers end up unlocking the potential of AI? There are a couple of things. So the first is that we need to embrace AI as a means to an end, not having and integrating AI tools and adopting AI tools because it's the next happening thing, it's the next buzzword. We need to really start identifying what is it that AI can deliver to us, what are the answers that the insights that AI can provide us, and the data churning that can happen, and the learnings that can happen through machine learning. What are the answers that we can get, and what's the level of augmentation that can happen in the current marketing process, which AI can deliver. We also need to understand how do we evaluate these various AI solutions which are there. There's a plethora of choices in the marketplace. How do we pick the right option which suits the requirements that we have? And then how do we ensure that we are on the right side of privacy issues as well as ethical challenges? Similarly, as we move towards the team, so that's another concern that our team members wary of embracing artificial intelligence. If marketing wants to embed artificial intelligence into the marketing mix, are the sales guy okay about it? Is the business okay about it? To do that, we first need to ensure that we very clearly segregate what are the activities, which are high value, non-repetitive, which humans would continue to do, and where is it that artificial intelligence would augment what human is doing. Two, while we know and we all do understand that this is a new technology, it is evolving. Some of these algorithms are not as mature as what we would expect them to be or we would want them to be. While we need to trust artificial intelligence to do what it is expected to do, we need to consistently ensure that there is a verification mechanism which is inbuilt into the system. And I think last but not the least, we all need to start reimagining a new workforce which is going to be entering our marketing teams. It is a mix of a digital workforce, it is a mix of humans, and a lot of technologies all integrated with the MarTech that we have currently within the organizations. I think we've come a long way from imagination to reality. We have these sci-fi movies where We saw a lot of artificial intelligence being depicted. Today, it is a reality. This is one of our robots, which is called Pepper, which we leverage in a lot of our interactions, in a lot of events, etc. And our customers are leveraging it to drive customer interactions in their respective businesses. We do have come a long way, and the future is waiting to happen. There's a lot of excitement for marketers. There's so much that marketers can do with artificial intelligence now becoming a part of our teams. Thank you so much. Let's continue this conversation. This is my email ID. Happy to be in touch with anyone who wants to reach out. Thank you. Over to you, Kyle.
Great, Shimona. Thank you. That was absolutely fantastic. So very much appreciate that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into our panel discussion. I assume everyone can see my my panel slide here. I'm going to take that as a yes. So what I'd like to do, we have a great panel today, and I'm going to introduce all three of them and let them also do a quick introduction to you. And I'm just going to go from order right to left, and this will kind of complement everything that Shimona just talked about. So our first panelist today is David Yang, PhD. He's co-founder of Eva AI, founder and chairman of Abby, also a member of the Band of Angels, Silicon Valley-based serial entrepreneur. In 1989, David created his first company, Abby. Abby currently has over 1,200 employees and is a leading developer of artificial intelligence, content intelligence, optical character recognition, and text analytics. They have 14 offices in 11 countries, and right now more than 50 million users in 200 countries rely on Abby solutions. Currently, Dr. Yang is dedicated to Eva AI, which is a spinoff from Abby, which he co-founded in 2016. It's a company that develops real-time AI people analytics and performance management systems, which helps organizations save millions of dollars by predicting resignations of key employees, detecting interpersonal conflicts, and more. Dr. Yang has started a variety of business, creative, and educational projects, and is author of numerous patents and scientific publications. His areas of interest include AI, modern art, architecture, and education. The World Economic Forum in Davos named him as one of the top 100 world technology pioneers. David, I'm sure you're getting a virtual round of applause. Would you just like to spend a couple sentences and tell us what you plan to bring to our meeting today?
Wow, Kyle, thank you for such a generous introduction. Well, it's Shimona, a very interesting presentation, and I support your word. So we're talking today about how AI is transforming sales and marketing, right? We are at Abby and Eva, we are from that part of the world who creates these AI blocks, which are doing exactly what you described. So, Kyle, I guess the question is, how does it work together, right? AI is definitely changing the landscape of marketing and sales by influencing, predicting customer experience, behavior, and all other things which Shimona shared. So I would say that when we're talking, Shimona mentioned that hyper-connected customer, also we called empowered customer. So in the age of empowered customer, those companies who put customer experience first, they market better, they sell more, then they win market share, both in B2B and B2C. So, and as Shimona mentioned, AI technologies can impact and huge impact the ways companies manage, assess, and predict customer experience and many other things. For example, several years ago, we had to wait several hours at the bank office, and a couple of days after that, only to receive bank loan or even open the bank account. Today, using Many banks, for example, using Abby's intelligent capture technologies, which can capture all necessary information just from the phone with a phone camera, and it allows banks to minimize the gap in 7 minutes. There are banks which are using that AI technologies to actually to make immediate decision about based on tons of information the customer provided to make simple, exact decisions. So that's some kind of examples about how AI can transform sales and marketing, for example, in this case, on the onboarding stage.
Excellent. Well, David, thank you for that that introduction and kind of context setting. That's fantastic, and we're going to dig into all of that here today. So next, I'd like to introduce Robert Bartley. Robert is a seasoned marketer that held leadership roles at Xerox Corporations, Sutherland Global Services, Capgemini, and Genpact. He currently works for a boutique marketing consulting firm, providing fractional CMO services to small and mid-sized firms. He's a computer systems software engineer in his early days, and he often employs and leverages technology to maximize effectiveness of the marketing strategies and tactics he oversees. Digital marketing and now AI and robotics are all key enablers in his toolbox. Born in Stockholm, Sweden, Robert now resides outside of Princeton, New Jersey. Outside of work, he enjoys alpine skiing, golfing, playing ice hockey, which I did last night, Robert, I love it, and sailing. In his spare time, he's also currently building a tiny house on wheels to be used as a vacation home, and I've actually seen that on Instagram. So, Robert, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Kyle. And yeah, I was trying to give a little bit of a flavor there of me as a person, but you know, I'm coming from a marketing perspective, really looking at having had the opportunity to lead several marketing departments, and it's a challenge, right? And taking on technology. So I'll be coming from the perspective of the end user, of the marketing department that are challenged by balancing the sales teams and their ability to drive decisions, and also IT, who always has a pretty hard hand on what's going on and what's getting implemented. And this is certainly technology. So I'll be bringing that perspective to the conversation.
Great. Robert, thanks very much. Last but certainly not least, but you're on the far right of the slide, Martin, is Martin Guillaume. Martin is focused on delivering technology-enabled business transformation to the media and telecommunication industries. At IBM, Martin leads the lead-to-cash cognitive process services, and over the past decade, he's focused on driving digital business transformation in telecommunications and media organizations globally. Before 2017, he led business development and strategy for media services at Ericsson globally as well, and under his leadership, Ericsson Media Services expanded in new geographies, established new partnerships, and launched innovative video and data services such as Nuvu. Martin has a strong technical and business background in media and telecom, Ericsson, IBM, Atos. He was CTO for Goldman Sachs' privately owned equity firm, VP Bertelsmann's electronic commerce platforms, director of Sony's royalty systems. Basically, his media and telecom experiences are far-reaching, global, and digital. So, Martin, introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Kyle, you did a pretty good job at that. So thanks for that. So I'll say a few words. I'll try and give you sort of a sales and operations perspective here. As Kyle said, I'm responsible for IBM's cognitive process services business, specifically focused on lead to cash, which is everything between CRM and ERP, specifically things that are revenue enabling or revenue related, like lead management, configuration, price quoting, contracting, ordering, billing, collection, and disputes. All of that is in our scope. And the business I represent is IBM's sort of BPO business, powered by AI and automation. So that's what I do, and that's the perspective I'll be bringing to you guys today.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Martin. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask some questions of the different panelists. They kind of know what questions they're going to get, but they're also welcome to chime in at the end of an answer if they like. But I'm going to start with David. And David, the question I'm going to pose to you is, when considering an AI solution, kind of, where do you start, right? Not only where do you start, but what can you expect as far as rewards and impact? And of course, what are some of the roadblocks?
Right, Kyle. Where do we start? I guess, we should look at all experience of customer with our services and understand how the person learns about our product and the product and the values, and how the customer onboards, and then finally you should win the retention and customer success. So customer will spread positive reaction in the media and with their friends. So all that steps are now being influenced by new technologies. So if you can finally make this loop and finally improve your K factor, both in B2B and B2C areas, you're actually winning the market share, winning your competitors. And I brought an example of onboarding when AI technologies can immediately capture information and make easy decision the best way to onboard person. But also you can use robotic process automation inside your company to minimize the gaps and to maximize customer experience and happiness, providing your whatever services or products you're selling to provide the best reaction from you, less friction. So, and many more. So you can continue that. The outcome is happy customer and higher retention, higher virality.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. Martin, I'd like to come to you on another question. You and I talked earlier about starting with pain points when considering AI. Can you talk a little about that and also discuss the types of data that you need to make an investment in AI successful?
Sure. So what I like about David's comment and Shimona's comments, it's all about people, right? It's AI, it's about automation, but we have to start where it matters most, and that's with the experience, right? Whether you're talking about employees or customers, you have to understand the pain points. What is your endpoint? What are you trying to do with AI? What are you trying to do with automation? And those two things go hand in hand. So what is the journey you want to deliver to your employees or customers? And how can that be made better through AI? And what we're finding in large corporations in particular is that the nature of the data, you have to start with the data, but the nature of their data repository is problematic to more than one extent. The first problem is that you have different repositories. So you're dealing with a sales database that's different from a contract database that's different from a product database. So they're all talking about the same business transaction and business objects, but they're seeing it through different lenses. So there's a lack of consistency of data across the different repositories, what we call systems of record. So you need to create a unified view of that. And the second thing that is also a challenge here is that you need to make sure that you can't really change these underlying systems. So we would contend that you have to create a unified view of all of that, and we would advocate a decoupling approach, which means that you leave the systems of record in place, but you create a layer where you introduce AI independent of those systems of record, and you deliver a new customer experience that addresses the pain points that you're trying to solve for. So those are creating a consistent view of the data that you can then base your AI off of, and then delivering an abstracted and decoupled experience that allows you to address the pain points that you've identified at the beginning. Okay.
Have you found that the data is hard to get?
Well, the data is not hard to get because the data is abundant, but it's inconsistent and not always structured. So I'm sure David has experienced this and has solutions for this, which is all about taking unstructured data and converting that to some form that AI can interpret. So AI needs structured data to be able to be informed, and you need that structured AI data to be consistent so that you're actually basing your decisions on a consistent set of data.
Yeah,
Robert, it's one part of AI is converting unstructured data into structured data, and the second part of AI taking structured data and making decisions on top of that, right?
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
yeah. Okay, and we'll certainly talk about that. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to add too. I think Martin, the point you're making of what AI can actually do, because I think a lot of the challenges that companies sees in adopting any new technology is the legacy, right? They have legacy this, legacy that, and that always becomes a stumbling block for moving forward. And what's so exciting with AI is that it can actually put a layer on there and allow you to continue to use that legacy. And as you suggested, you should. And by still actually implementing the next level of technology and capability in a seamless manner.
That's exactly right. So just to paraphrase, I think what we need to be able to do is to keep the systems of record, to keep the legacy as the custodian of your business transactions, because changing that is very expensive and can take years in the case of large enterprises. So there is no question that you cannot delay the implementation of AI, but you need therefore to create a new layer where that AI lives, and that new layer stands above the systems of record. But the systems of record need to continue to be the custodians of your business transactions. So I think that's the challenge today, is that how do you do that well? Take first of all the repositories that you have, structured and unstructured, and convert that to structured data that's consistent, that AI can be powered off of. And then secondly, how do you convert that the business transactions and to continue to feed your existing legacy systems while benefiting from AI and delivering these great new experiences? That, I think, is in a nutshell the summary of the challenge that is in front of us as we transform the customer experience with AI and through digital.
Well, Martin, that makes a lot of sense to me, and it doesn't sound like an easy problem. And I'm sure between the three of you on the phone, there's probably at least some starts to some good answers there. Robert, one of the things that you and I have talked about last time I think when we talked at the IAOP OWS last year, you and I talked a lot about sales effectiveness. And, I come at it from sales side, you come at it from a marketing side, but you have that expertise around how to make salespeople more effective, kind of along with the ways to help shrink that well-known sales and marketing gap, where sales complains about marketing, marketing complains about sales, and it never seems to end. I'd like if you could please talk a little bit about that sales and marketing gap and shrinking that in relation to maybe how AI can help that.
Yeah, let's be real, right? In most businesses today, it's sales first, sales second, sales third. Marketing doesn't make the podium. So, proving the return on that marketing investment, gaining the trust of the sales team as a true partner is not easy. Although I'm hoping I'm speaking for many of the folks on this call when I say, marketing can have a huge impact on not only providing sales with highly qualified sales opportunities, but also as an ally along the entire sales process. And certainly AI can do that in many ways. Shimona touched on it in her presentation, that sort of continuum, or several continuums that were in that. And, better prospect validation and qualification is one of the first things we can do, right? So using AI and data tracking, looking at web visits, reads, views, downloads, social media, but then you can also look at news articles, financial ratios. And if you think about, the ability to target this at scale, I mean, AI, in my view, in a sense, it's not doing something that couldn't be done before. It just does it at scale, so you can truly tackle a much larger problem and taking much larger amount of data. So when you can start looking then at automating potential outreach, as I said, take that top of the funnel and the low-hanging fruit, and starting to initiate outreach using AI, and then using machine learning to build the expertise of what is good and bad, and what is actually working and what's not working. And then as the prospects engage, the AI engines can monitor that activity, use further qualification criteria to validate when a prospect is sales ready, and using AI to understand the real intent, the purchasing power, the financial data about the prospect that you can weave in to actually help you identify a truly profitable customer versus one that the competition just doesn't want, and that's why you're getting it, right? So, yeah, all of that is the working with them to prove that you have good quality prospects. Because the worst thing that happens is, you send over a prospect, hey, they downloaded a white paper, call them. The busy sales guy is just going to do that once, maybe twice, and then he's going to look at you and basically that's what happens. So once we have them engaged and then the sales are engaged, you can integrate the AI tools alongside the CRM tools, as Martin talked about, and constantly provide them with relevant content, because you understand where they are, what has worked in the past, what are the right pieces of content that they can present to the client, which are the right custom case studies, examples, etc., or approaches that work with different personas of the customer. So it is like having that experienced super salesperson coaching you along the way, and it allows, especially new salespeople, to become effective very quickly.
Got it. I like the ability to do things at scale, and it sounds to me like you're also taking a lot of data, crunching some things in order to make things happen faster and better, to give the salespeople an advantage and not waste their time doing unneeded things. So when I think about that, and we go back just a couple minutes ago, the whole subject of structured data, unstructured data came up in the conversation. And obviously, David, that's one area of AI. But one thing you're doing at EVA.ai is the human analytics piece. And so the human analytics is also a really important component of what you're trying to do. I'd like to get your take on, just share some information about that, and maybe provide some insight on the dividing line between human and machine capabilities, perhaps.
Right. I started several companies, most of them in AI space, and they do different things. Abby is creating technology which converts unstructured data to structure. So all business documents, they can convert to actionable knowledge for customers, for marketing and sales. But what EVA is doing, EVA is a neural network which understands our most valuable asset, employees. We have been, discussed engagement with the customer engagement, but what EVA is doing is employee engagement. And EVA understands the best practices, for example, of salespeople, and EVA understands observing the objective data, observing their digital footprint, and observing how they work with, say, Salesforce. A system understands what differentiates best salespeople in comparison with the mediocres, with the rest of the sales team. And understanding the difference, system EVA makes recommendations, individualized recommendations to every employee, every team member, how to improve, how to make more sales, how to be more efficient. So that part is, if RPA helps organization overall to substitute repeating routine operations with the brain, EVA is helping the biological part of organizations, the best part of our organization, to be more effective, to be more happy. And that's amazing. It's possible observing millions of data points, how people behave, how people react, how people do, and bring these insights to all of us, to all employees.
So David, does that, on the human analytics piece, does that include, one of the things that we think about in selling all the time is, some salespeople are naturally inclined or naturally born to do certain things, and some are not. And teaching people how to sell who don't have a natural inclination or desire necessarily to do it, it's like pushing spaghetti up a hill. On this human analytics piece, can you also look at salespeople in a sales team and say, this person is just not naturally predisposed to be able to do this, therefore it's going to be very hard to actually teach them how to do it? Is that part of this? I don't understand it enough to know.
Yeah, Kyle, it's a very good question. Yes, exactly. Some people naturally were born to do that. Some people naturally were born not to do that. So that part you want to understand as early as possible. So far, companies try to make this decision just by feelings, just by observing. But when we have remote employees, when we have a lot of remote employees, all continuously traveling, agile business teams, managers cannot face-to-face meet every person every day. And newcomers, they sometimes stay with the company for half a year, for a year, and sometimes 2 years before company finally understands that they are not right. AI can compare the digital footprint of those people on the first, very early, each employee, including salespeople, in first month, how they behave, and see that these people behave closer to those people who never succeed in the past, or vice versa. These people behave very similarly to those people who became superstars. So this is one aspect, how to understand natural abilities of people. But also there are another part, which is trainable. So not everything is because of charisma, not everything because of, something is because of discipline, something because of, you have to do 50 calls a day, that's it. And you have to reply to your customers in 15 minutes, not in 10 days. So Eva is also observing communication patterns and red flags when some people, or group B, is answering employees, customers' emails slowly versus group A, which answering agile and effectively. So that part is trainable, controllable.
Right. Okay. That's fascinating to me, being a sales guy and working with sales teams, and realizing that most sales VPs tell me that their success rate for hiring people that end up succeeding at their company is less than 50%, and many tell me it's less than 40. So I'm fascinated by that whole science, and one of these days I'd love to have a longer offline conversation with you about that. But thank you for that clarification. So Robert, one of the uses of AI is to personalize and tailor the customer experience. And, we're coming back to that. Martin even talked about that too. Shimona talked about that. It's all about people, right? So if you're trying to tailor the customer experience down to each individual. Could you talk a little bit about a few of your experiences in this area for us?
Absolutely, yeah. So personalization is today's the matter of fact, right? We get exposed to so much information that we tune out everything that's not relevant. Shimona mentioned an example with the new baby, but we also shun away from everything that's blatantly obvious in an attempt to simply use our name or possibly a few other variable components, right? And in my view, the best personalization is when you don't see it at all. I mean, it just speaks to you. The other very relevant topic we use when speaking about this is creating a frictionless customer experience. And you can do that really when you have that individual in mind, making it easy to do business. So personalization comes in every aspect of the customer interaction. We talk a lot about the customer experience here, and that is really every touch point is a moment of truth, as I like to look at it, and it starts with the brand. But I'll focus on two quick ones, sort of the website and sort of the chat and the chatbot, which was mentioned several times. So, most companies target a fairly wide set of customers with varied needs. And, we all know that what they do is they go to the web to do their research. So this is perhaps one area where you can start using AI fairly simply. Today, what most people do will create a very sophisticated, yet hopefully simple to use, navigational structure to allow the customer to choose their own path down to the website. And we all hope and pray that they will go past the first page. Now, there's technology that today that will identify a visitor by IP address and bucket them into an industry or whatever, and therefore you can start to provide a tailored experience, on the fly from a set of options automatically when they visit. And this is an area where I see already starting to change, but clearly it's coming really, really fast. Because AI will enable us to not only provide that tailored page based on industry or company, but it will enable us to do that completely composing the page on the fly based on that individual visitor. So where have they been before? What do they appear to like or not like? What preferences are there? Do they like pictures versus video versus reading? What do they seem to react to? And while I'm not sure AI is quite there yet to compose the entire piece, but I'm fairly confident that it can very well stitch together a very attractive piece from snippets of approved marketing content. So, this whole thing around creating versus using and marketing approvals and branding and all of that, that's a pretty touchy subject actually when it comes from a marketing perspective. And that also says that having a digital asset management system on the back end will be a critical component as you get into this, because that AI engine will gonna need to use assets to display on the screen, to communicate with, etc. Imagery, videos, content documents, or on the fly snippets of components. And you need to manage that. So that's something that if you don't have it yet, it would be good to start looking at and start investing in. The second thing is the chat thing. And I think, like Shimon said, almost everyone in the retail industry has chat. And in the B2B way, I find it myself. I use it quite often if it's available and I want to. It's a quick way. But then, you try to engage them and it says, well, we're not open right now. Why? It's like, that's why you have a chat, right? So
right.
AI can really hold that real text conversation and provide that capability 24/7. And given advances in speech and other things like Google Home, Siri, Alexa, and so forth, that voice-assisted chat is probably not far behind if it's not there by some already. And again, the theme there is to make that experience frictionless, make it easy to do business.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense to me. Obviously, everybody likes to do business with companies that are easy to do business with. And how many times you've heard somebody say, I just don't want to deal with them anymore. They're so hard to work with. So obviously that personal approach seems to be the right thing. So let me go to Martin on a question too. Martin, you've probably seen this. I've talked to a lot of folks. Marketing executives kind of all believe that we're going to see AI-enabled solutions starting to drive a big chunk of marketing and sales in a lot of companies, and pretty soon, I believe. With your focus on lead to cash, you got a lot of space in there. Do you believe that the incorporation of AI is going to change the roles, the roles of those sales and marketing personnel, and also, therefore, the desired capabilities that you're going to be looking for in those people being hired? And if so, how do you see that changing? Because it seems to me a lot of that will change. It seems like you'll require different types of people with different skills, capabilities, all of that. I'm really curious on your take on that.
Yeah, so that's I think a really interesting question. But if you're to summarize this, so AI is the promise to have sort of all of your sellers become as effective as your best sellers, or try to get there. It's also allowing you to sort of make sure that you're selling the right stuff. So your sellers are focusing on the right stuff by guiding them. So the whole idea that AI will replace humans is not where we're at. I think where we're at is AI is sort of a way to supercharge, make humans better, but they are going to stay in charge, right? So another way to look at it is AI is sort of an exoskeleton for the humans, so they make them better, faster, stronger, but it's not going to replace people. It's gonna make them better at what they do. So sales is not an exception. Sales will work that way as well. So the way that we're seeing this happening is we're seeing humans being guided. So the sellers that lack the discipline that we talked about earlier, or that lack the rigor with which they identify an opportunity to upsell or to cross-sell, AI will be there to assist that. So it's going to capture what works, and it's going to enhance, your ability to adapt quickly. So it will figure out what's happening before humans do, and it will scale it, as Robert was referring to, this scaling effect. So it offers the detection and then the enforcement of a consistent approach with a customer. So I think that will make more people more effective in the sales arena and marketing arena. But the roles will evolve. I think that is very definite, and it's assisted by AI. And the good news is that the human touch will become more of the difference between sellers, right? And that's I think a really interesting thing that we're seeing, is that people who know how to empathize and how to relate, how to understand your problem, Kyle, not anybody else's, but the ability to live in your shoes is a very strong skill set that will be increasingly in demand, I believe, so that we will be in a position to really empathize with who we're selling to and understand the whole organization, and therefore try new things, be creative, and be assisted with AI. Does that capture?
That's actually, I like the way you put that, with the human touch, becomes even more important. It also seems like it, while that becomes important, it also seems like maybe some other things that some sellers might have been good at might become less important because AI is doing some of that for them. That makes sense or not?
Absolutely right.
Okay.
So a lot of this reinforcement of the right behaviors and the triggering of actions when the right behaviors are not there, I think will be made easier. So as you do, you get better because you're being guided by this exoskeleton, so to speak, that helps you do things and helps you be more agile and more able to react in real time, because sales is about reacting in time at all times, right? Understanding what we're being asked and then being able to adapt your offering to what the customer is asking for.
Got it. Very, very fascinating to me. Thank you for that. We've only got a couple more minutes. I want to see if I can get a couple kind of quick questions here and some answers. And let me apologize up front if I asked the wrong panelist the wrong question. But but David, I'm going to start with you. What if you're not quite ready to really get into AI all the way? Let's say you're in Martin's shoes at IBM, and you're thinking, I really want to kind of dip my toe in the water, but I don't want to go whole hog. Where do you start? How do you do that? Uh-oh.
All right.
David, did I lose you?
No. Where do we start? I mean, Kyle, maybe I'll skip this. It's probably will take more than 1 minute.
Okay, that's probably a tough question for 1 minute. I apologize for that, but I think there's one I think that you might be able to answer quickly, maybe. There's a lot of things going on in AI and marketing and the marketing and sales space today. What do you think is the most exciting capability that's, since you're kind of a leader in this industry, what do you think is one of the kind of the biggest, most exciting capabilities that might come along in the next year or two?
Kyle, if you ask me, I would say the abilities to predict something which didn't happen, which is to predict something. This is new generation observing historical data points. Deep learning technologies now can predict something in the future. This is the most powerful thing, which applies to everything we're doing, including marketing, sales, people behavior, AI, people analytics, recommendations, and everything.
Excellent. That's pretty fascinating and maybe even a little scary, but exciting at the same time. I'll tell you what, we have just a couple minutes. What I'd like to do is I'm going to let each of the panelists just give kind of a closing thought or comment, maybe a takeaway, if you will, and then we'll go ahead and close this out. So, Martin, let me go right to left here. A quick takeaway maybe for the audience for today on what we talked about.
Absolutely. So I would say two, possibly three things. Start at the end. Start with what do you want to solve, right? What pain do you want to relieve? So start with the user journey. Don't start with your systems or processes. Don't optimize that. Look at what pains you want to solve and customer experience. That's the first thing. The second is data consistency. You know, what structures, what data do you need in order to help that problem? What source of information do you need, and where does it reside, and how can you make it consistent if it resides across multiple areas, and decouple it from your IT if need be. But your systems of record needs to stay your system of record, and really focus on, try things out, and it needs to be done in 12 weeks max, right? If it takes more than 12 weeks, break it up. Right. Okay. Don't try big things. Try small things and incrementally improve it.
Excellent. Thank you. Robert, how about you?
Oh, two things. One is, don't be afraid of AI, right? You have to, again, think of it as what you do today, but enable you to do it at scale. And to get started, look in your technology stack today. Talk to your vendors and your partners and your suppliers, and inquire what they may have as far as AI capabilities already built in. Hopefully they have something, or they're working on something, or see what kind of integration with third parties they might have, so that you can just sort of start small, try something. And as Martin said, if it's too big and it takes too long, no, you have to be quick, get off the ground, try something small, and learn from that, and then build on it.
Excellent. Thanks, Robert. David?
Yeah, I would agree with Robert and Martin. I would support them, and I would just add and choose right partners.
Aha, good call. Well, hey, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this has been really phenomenal. David, Robert, and Martin, I'm very confident you're receiving some really loud virtual applause back from the audience, and I appreciate that. And Shimona, your presentation rocked it, and it was a great start, and really appreciate that. This has been a fantastic panel. I've very much enjoyed being the moderator. We're looking at a few more meetings for the chapter for 2019, and we are always actively seeking panelists, presenters, and even additional relevant topics. So if you've got something, please reach out to us and let us know. You can get a hold of myself, Kyle Andrews, my business partner Bill Hall, or Shimona. This is our contact information. I'd like to thank everybody once again. It's been a fantastic panel and meeting. I realize I've gone 1 minute and 14 seconds over, but we hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Shimona.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, thanks, team. Great job.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.